What is net neutrality and what could it mean on today's Wednesday Morning Drive? Hey everybody, Matt Cribbs here, and welcome to another Wednesday Morning Drive. How are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. It's been a busy week. Had some baby sick, had some wifey sick, had some... Thankfully not me sick yet. I haven't had to deal with that, but, you know, it gets crazy when that happens. So, yeah, I recovered from that and going back to work again, because I stayed home yesterday, but it's all good. So, today I wanted to talk about the internet. I like the internet. I use the internet every single day. I get paid because of the internet. I have, you know, my real job is making, not a real job, my full-time job that brings in the majority of my money, or one could say all of my money, is making websites and making them run and doing that. And so, you know, the internet is very important to me. Also, my hobby, this, involves the internet and distributing words and videos and stuff on that. So the internet is very important to me. And it's very important to a lot of people. It's big business. There's a lot of money in the internet, and people making new businesses, people reinventing old businesses, people doing lots of things on the internet, and they want to have control of that. And one of the major sticking points or big topics that's affecting everyone right now is net neutrality, which is a fancy word for actually a lot of different concepts. It's not a simple thing. It gets really complicated really quickly, but in its simplest form, to try and sum it up, net neutrality is really just represents the concept that data that is flowing over the internet is equal. So all data is equal. And even that breaks down, because not all data is equal. Data that is part of a streaming video may have, you know, more, or does have more of a need to get there in a timely manner and quickly than video that makes up, say, a web page or a large download. You know, it's okay if it's out of order, if it's a large download, because those can be reassembled, you know, when they get there. But a video, when they get there. A video, if things are out of order, not so great. So, you know, even in its most simple format, it already has flaws. But let's just start with the basis that it's the goal that data should be as equal as it needs to be. Where, you know, it's the data that matters, and it gets there timely. And what doesn't matter, from the concept of net neutrality, what doesn't matter is whose data it is. Is it a Netflix video? Is it a email from Comcast? Is it a, you know, what is the organization that is, you know, responsible? Where is that content coming from? Shouldn't matter at all. That's the concept, which I think is a good thing, because, you know, we use a variety of services all over the place. And we'll get to more of why that's a good thing a little bit later. But that's the concept. And it's a lot of, it shows up in a lot of different ways. It shows up in, you know, companies throttling other companies. So Verizon making Netflix traffic slower than other ones, and tactics like that. So why do they do that, and why is it important, and all of those things? So a lot of the reason there's an argument about this is, what is the job of the ISP, the internet service provider? What is the job of Comcast or Verizon Fios? What is their role in the entire internet? And that's a hefty question, and it's changing all the time. You know, is the job of an ISP simply to get the bits, the data, from the origin to the consumer, like a utility, say, like a water company whose job is simply to deliver, well, not simply, but, you know, delivers water to the house, you know, purification and all that stuff, even in that analogy, it falls down. You know, should ISPs be responsible for the quality of the delivery? Should they have some ability to say, well, I know this is a streaming video and it's more important to be here on time than other types of data? So should they prioritize traffic on that? One could argue that's a good thing. But then you quickly get into areas of, well, I am Comcast, I am Verizon, I have my own video, especially now that these ISPs are buying and or partnering with these content consumer companies. They blocked off a road with absolutely no notice. This town that I drive through is infamous for doing that. They just block off the major streets with no notice whatsoever. So should, you know, if say Comcast has its own type of video service, should Comcast be able to make sure that the consumers of that video get it faster than, say, consumers of Netflix video? And where does it draw the line? If they are, you know, a mobile data provider, should they be able, and you know, mobile data providers like having these data caps on the data, which is a whole nother discussion. Although maybe not. Should they be able to say that video from Verizon's, say, video service, or, you know, is going to be not count against your data, but video from Netflix will? And what will that do if you're a Verizon wireless customer to your use of Netflix when you're on the phone? It would kill it, right? You know, so these are the topics that are why people care about net neutrality. These are the questions. And it goes from a very simple premise of saying, let's all agree that the job of the ISP is to get the data from A to B. Well, then you very quickly say, well, if by looking at the traffic and looking at the data and the types of data, not actually spying on the data, though they do that too, usually because the CIA asked them to, or not that they should, but whatever. Is it, you know, it very simple argument, and few people would disagree that it's okay for a internet service provider to say, well, you know, video traffic should be more important than web page traffic because order matters, and we can make our quality better for everyone by prioritizing that. And most people would agree to that argument. But then that line between, well, if we do it for that, should we prefer certain brands of video traffic? That gets very, very small change in what they're doing with big, big consequences. So that is, in my mind, a scenario we should absolutely avoid, because I firmly believe that this model that the companies want to have, I mean, let's think, if you're a Comcast, if you're a Verizon, you want to own the consumer and you want to own that experience. You don't want to just deliver bits to their, you know, the people, because there's money in that, but there's not the big money. There's not the money, the big bucks that a corporation wants. So they try to eke out more and more money, more and more profit out of this, and they take these pricing practices that really are unnecessary. We have concepts like limited data, and they make the argument that they need to charge more for people that use more data because, you know, they need it to fund the infrastructure so they can deliver a better experience to everyone. But then they turn around and they don't necessarily invest the money they make in, you know, more infrastructure. They use it for profits and other things. So that is a slippery line. Do these limited data plans, and do those actually make sense for the consumer? Are they actually necessary for the consumer? I don't buy it. I don't think so. I believe we could all be living under unlimited data plans, and the ISPs would do just fine. They just wouldn't be the big fat cats that they are today. So, you know, we're already seeing these pricing games going on there because there's not enough money. So if we don't let them do that, if we're resistant to that, and consumers are somewhat, not as much as I would like to see, because we're all living with caps, but if as they lose those sources to make tons of money, they're going to look for others. They're going to say, well, if we control the pipes, we should also control what goes over the pipes. So they're doing these mergers with the entertainment companies and with the content producers. And Netflix would like to, get into some of this, be able to get their place there. Everyone does. Google was one of the first. Google not only, has the Google servers there, they have servers at Comcast. They have servers at Verizon. They pay money to the ISPs so that their content is closer to you to get there. It doesn't have to go from Google over the internet and then over the internet to you. It's already halfway there. So this is one thing that we're doing today. Even leaving aside net neutrality, you can pay for the privilege to put your data closer. And it's not just, with Comcast and them. There's companies that is their business. Akamai, content delivery networks, things you might have heard of. Their job is to put your content closer. So you already can pay for the privilege of getting your content faster. But you can pay equally. Anyone with the money can pay money to get their content closer. So that's fair. That's neutral, if you will. Now, if we allow them to say, well, I am going to give this offer to my partner, but the other sister company, it's the same company, so of course they don't have to pay the fee to get their content closer. That's where things become non-neutral or unfair, if you were. So that's where the problem lies. Should we and can we allow this to happen? Again, I don't want the shows that I watch, the news sites that I go to, the places where I get my information and entertainment to be necessarily controlled by the same people that are controlling the wires that are going to my house, especially when those companies, in controlling all of these things, get bigger and bigger and bigger. So because once you're controlling the quality and the speed that the data gets there, it's not a fine line to even control what content gets there and what messages is contained in the content that get there. A form of censorship, not like hardcore censorship, but if you have two websites to go to, one's faster than the other, probably going to go to the faster one a little more often. And if that has a certain opinion that, say, might be beneficial to the owner of that website, you might start to believe that or listen to that opinion more because you'll hear it more. So it's kind of a form of squishy, informal, soft censorship that could happen there. So, these are the problems that very, very easily could happen if these companies get their way. And it's looking like, they're going to get their way. Some of the more pro net neutrality members of the FCC have resigned. Some of the incoming people that are going to be in charge of this are very, very strongly against it. It's not entirely a partisan issue. It's not like you could say all Republicans are pro net neutrality or anti net neutrality and all Democrats are pro. It's really, it's a little bit that way, but it's somewhat divided, and the lobbyists certainly are doing a lot to sway as many people as they can. But what I think makes it a particularly difficult problem is that it's not an easy problem to grasp. It's not easy to know how the internet works and to know that, how the bits and bytes go, and to really think about, well, okay, Comcast, your lobbyist is telling me, but you can give better service to your customers. Great, I believe you. That's awesome. I have lots of experience with the internet. I have a degree in computer engineering. I have done this stuff for years and years and years. I can see that argument is somewhat false or misleading. And I can also very easily see, well, if you take that argument, these are the follow-up arguments that end to this massive control by these massive companies. If you don't have that level of technical knowledge or experience, you don't necessarily see that. And unless we point it out to the people making the decisions and really make us think about it, people are just going to be like, oh, I don't see the problem with this. And before we know it, we'll wake up and it's already the way it works. So think about it. Think about net neutrality. Think about what it means. Think about what, you know, how it would impact the way you use the internet, and how you read content, and what videos and games and news things you can read. And think about if it really makes sense to you, and if that's something that you want. And if it's not, tell people. Tell as many people as you can, because most people don't think about this problem. They don't worry about it because they don't think about it. So get the word out there, spread your opinion, make it known. Have a great week. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.